Welcome to the Explainer. You know, spending 30 years deep in actuarial science and risk management teaches you a few things. Mostly, you get used to incredibly complex data models, massive volatility, and constantly scanning for systemic threats. But honestly, the absolute ultimate strategy for survival isn't found in some 1,000-page contingency algorithm. It's actually found in a single profound sentence. So today, we're going to deconstruct the anatomy of just 5 words. Let me ask you something. How do you react when the weight of the world just suddenly shifts onto your shoulders? Think about when a black swan event lands right in your lap. I mean, when the predictive models completely break down and the stakes are instantly catastrophic. Do you feel the urge to panic? To just react blindly? Or maybe you completely freeze up? We all have a default setting when extreme volatility hits. Hold on to that memory, that feeling of sudden systemic shock, as we dive into this. Courage is grace under pressure. Just let that sink in for a second. Now, this is famously attributed to Ernest Hemingway, but look, we aren't studying this as classical literature today. Instead, we're going to look at it as an airtight risk management protocol, because when you really break it down, it completely redefines how we systematically handle a crisis. Section 1. The core statement. Analyzing an elegant equation. Literally, it's just 5 words, but together, they form this one incredibly profound behavioral equation. It's a formula with 3 distinct, highly active variables. There's no fluff, no filler here. Every single word acts as a load-bearing pillar in a behavioral risk response model. If you remove even one piece of this equation, the entire system collapses. Section 2. Deconstructing courage, the first variable. So, is it courage if there's absolutely no pressure? We typically think of courage as this static trait, right? Like something you simply possess in your DNA. But if you're operating in a perfectly safe, zero-risk environment, are you actually being courageous? No, definitely not. Courage isn't some inherent passive state. It absolutely requires an opposing force, extreme variance, to even activate in the first place. In the strict context of this specific equation, courage is not a raw ingredient. It's the ultimate result. It is the destination we arrive at, the successful mitigation of a crisis, but only if the other elements in our formula are executed perfectly. Basically, it's the sum total of what happens next. Section 3. Defining grace, the unexpected element. Grace is the method, or the internal state of being, that you maintain during adversity. In risk management terms, grace is essentially your margin of safety. It implies elegance, fluidity, and most importantly, it implies control. It's about relying on your pre-calculated models and keeping your inner world perfectly organized exactly when the outer world is demanding a chaotic, knee-jerk reaction. You see, we have this cultural default. We expect courage to involve violence or forcefulness, right? Like the aggressive, loud defeat of an obstacle. But our source text throws a curveball. It introduces the surprising elegance of grace. True bravery isn't about brute forcing your way out of a crisis. Actually, it's the profound, quiet elegance of trusting the math and holding your position when it is absolutely the hardest thing to do. Section 4. The weight of pressure, the catalyst. Think about this for a moment. What actually happens when pressure is applied without grace? Well, you get chaos. You get incredibly reactive, sloppy decision-making. The external force completely overwhelms your internal capacity. And in risk terminology, that's how you achieve the ultimate failure, total ruin. Pressure is the external force or environment acting upon the individual. It is the absolute, non-negotiable prerequisite. Pressure is the heavy, suffocating reality of a sudden market collapse, a personal tragedy, or a massive systemic shock. It's the unavoidable volatility that simply demands a response. So we've successfully deconstructed the fundamental architecture of human resilience here. Courage is the resulting outcome. Grace is the internal tool, your mitigation strategy. And pressure is the external environment, the raw volatility. This right here is your master framework. Section 5. The ultimate synthesis, putting the equation together. Let's walk through the actual chronological timeline of a crisis. Step 1. The external pressure, that systemic shock, inevitably arrives. Step 2. Right in the face of that overwhelming volatility, your internal state of grace, your risk framework, is actively maintained. And finally, step 3, because step 2 held completely firm against step 1, courage is achieved. You see, courage isn't an action you take. It's a state you achieve by flat out refusing to let tail risk destroy your grace. It's pure mathematical elegance. When you pair the internal maintenance of composure, grace, with a massive external force, pressure, it perfectly equals courage. It takes this huge, abstract philosophical virtue and turns it into an exact, actionable two-part recipe for survival. So the real question is, will you maintain your grace the next time you are tested? Because, let's be honest, the volatility will inevitably arrive. That's just the nature of life and markets. The only variable you actually control in this entire equation is your own internal framework. Will you let the pressure turn you chaotic, or are you going to choose the composure of grace?
Which brings us right back exactly to where we began. Courage is grace under pressure. These aren't just pretty words. They represent the ultimate actuary table for human resilience. So the next time your world experiences a sudden, massive shock, will your system hold or will you break? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I'll see you next time.